Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you for stopping by, being here today to be a part of this conversation. I don't claim to know all the answers or have the true capacity to make someone fall in love with you. If I did, all my clients would be happily coupled in loving long-term relationships, but I do have some really good things to think about, some really good ideas, and some of them are scientifically proven. So if how to make someone fall in love with you is something you've been thinking about, wondering about, or wanting to have control over, you're in the right place, because that's what we're talking about today. There is some science behind this people falling in love thing, and I remember watching an episode on the Learning Channel back when the Learning Channel was things you could learn. And I was watching with my son, and we watched this episode where they had this experiment and they invited all these singles in, like 12 men and 12 women. But before they showed up for this cocktail party, they had them exercise for a half an hour and perspire in a white t-shirt. And they brought these t-shirts with them, and they labeled these bags with male 1, 2, 3 through 12 and female 1 through 12. And they had the opposite sex smell these t-shirts, and they chose which one smelled pleasant to them, and they marked it down and put it in an envelope. And the experiment was they sent these people out to mingle and talk, and the end of the experiment, which was the interesting part obviously, was that these people ended up coupled with and most enjoying the company of the people whose smell they most found pleasant. That's pheromones. And do we have control over who we meet and their pheromones? No, but knowing that pheromones do play some part in attraction and that science has something to do with this takes a little bit of the pressure off of us, because we can't control our pheromones. But there are things we can do, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. And number one would be eye contact. Maintaining eye contact is something that's very easy for people who are in love. And there was another scientific experiment where they had people stare into the other person's eyes for a full 2 minutes, and they found that that created a bond with people. So if you're in a new relationship with someone and trying to deepen that connection, maybe try that experience on your own. Do your own experiment and stare lovingly into the other one's eyes for a full 2 minutes. It's longer than you think. Should we try it here now? No. But it created romantic feelings where previously there had been none. And if just looking into somebody's eyes can do that, why not use that to our advantage? That's easy enough. Number two, so through touch is the other way that you can make people feel close to you and stir feelings of them feeling romantic towards you. And that is why in all of my flirting episodes, I do mention to you that you should touch this other person appropriately and casually in conversation, putting your hand over theirs to make a point, emphasizing something you're saying by putting your hand on his forearm or hanging onto his arm as you're walking out or in or to a different area. Just making physical contact with that person creates a bond, and that can lead to more romantic feelings than had you not done that. Number three is about being vulnerable, and that people like people who are comfortable in their own skin and can be vulnerable, but also can make mistakes and be human about it. So we've talked about this a little before, where being a little self-deprecating or admitting your errors, or not telling you to go out and make a mistake or mispronounce something or stumble into the table. But if those things happen, embrace them, because they do lead very often to somebody feeling that they've made a connection with you and possibly being much closer to falling in love with you. Embrace your humanness. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be human and real. And that is going to attract someone to you and hopefully help them to fall in love with you. Number four, we've got episodes recently about playing hard to get and about scarcity, and somewhere in the middle, not playing games but not being completely available and overly excited. That middle ground is where you want to be. A little mystery is a good thing. So being slightly uncommitted, a little bit of showing that you have a life and showing that you aren't desperate. Desperate is the opposite of what we're looking for here. Being overly excited to plan your future out with this person on a first date is not where we want to be. So just being interested and honest, but also remaining, not laying your whole life on the table for this person to have to digest. Keeping a little bit of mystery at the beginning stages, even later stages of a relationship, is a really good thing. And if you want someone to fall in love with you, leave a little bit for the imagination or for them to be able to picture what it would be like to be with you after a first date, and that will work to your benefit. Number 5, psychologists created a list of questions. It's long. I will post it in my comment section. These questions get more and more intimate as you go through the questions, and they found that people who worked their way through these questions very often felt an intimacy at the end of the question and answer situation, and very often fell in love. So if you're looking to have someone fall in love with you, asking questions that become more and more intimate throughout, know that that would work for you. But also read the list of questions, maybe even print it out for a second date with somebody and see if it works for you. See if it makes you fall madly in love with each other. Just a list of questions. You could print it out and throw it in your purse. Science also says that physical intimacy leads to a release of oxytocin. Do you know the chemical? You should Google it. It's a fun little oxytocin. Maybe you heard about it in pregnancy, right? Oxytocin is released but it's also released in love. And the way to release somebody's oxytocin, if you're not having a physical relationship with them, would be to make them feel very comfortable, very at ease, very happy and truly enjoying their time. So if you can be a great date and be at ease and share stories and have a nice flow, that would be a great way for science to work in your favor to help somebody fall in love with you because their brain chemistry is telling them to. And then finally, to wrap up my list of a few things that would help somebody to fall in love with you, they say this is true. Don't know if it is for sure, but like I said, can't hurt to try all of these or some of these. And that would be, if you're a woman, wear red. And if red's your color, wow, are you in luck. Just wear red on a date because that somehow breeds attraction, and men very often fall in love with women while they're wearing red. I hope you found these interesting, maybe even a couple of them helpful, something to try, something to think about. I hope you'll also give the episode a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe while you're there. Maybe even hit that ring bell and then you're notified every time I upload a new episode. I appreciate you stopping by today, and I'll look forward to the next one. Until then, have a good one. I could just post it on the screen, but then you'd have to pause for a really long time and have my face hanging out in the background on your date. No, I post it in the comments or